Friday night, I had the pleasure of attending the red carpet premiere of the Red Pill movie in New York City. To put it mildly, it was an evening that contained a lot more than I ever expected was possible. I'll give you the lowdown on it coming up next on An Ear for Men. Hi everyone, Paul here, and welcome back to An Ear for Men. A couple of months ago, I did a crowdfunder asking you to send me to the Los Angeles premiere of the Red Pill movie on the 14th of this month. The generous supporters of my work quickly responded, and I will certainly be there with bells on. Part of my promise to you was a detailed review of the film, which you are going to get a week early because when the opportunity to go to the Big Apple to see it came up, I couldn't turn it down. And I'm happy to tell you I can't wait to get to Los Angeles to see it again. I suppose it's only fair that I tell you up front that I'm hardly unbiased about all this. The Red Pill movie started with a young filmmaker contacting me about the men's movement, and from there went on to include many of the advocates I have come to know and admire over the years. In other words, the project is deeply personal to me. Still, I trust that the people who know me well also know that I don't deal in wishful thinking no matter how invested I am in a wish. That being said, I'm happy to report to you that on Friday, October 7th, I witnessed 117 minutes of glorious, courageous truth-telling. There's a bit of a challenge here. I promised followers, some of which who donated to my LA trip, that I would not deliver spoilers. I hope I'm not going back on that promise, and I won't include a lot of details that might detract from your viewing experience. But there's no way to review this movie without telling you it's a home run for men and boys. Jay gave her audience a continuous stream of the facts, the truth about domestic violence, male genital mutilation, the disposability of men and boys, and the perverse carnival that we call family courts. She even deftly debunked the common mainstream practice of conflating MRAs with other groups like white nationalists and pickup artists. In this way, the Red Pill engages the mind, methodically pushing aside the clutter of indoctrination and ideology that has led most of the world into a hypnotic trance of false narratives. But as we all know, simple facts don't shake people out of their illusions. And this is where Cassie J proves herself to be a master. She pulls viewers into the Red Pill experience, not with numbers or statistics, but by their hearts. In a world where we often cope with the insanity of modern gender politics with laughter, J indulges very little of this. She takes us directly and forcefully into the raw, brutal pain of men, into the unconscionable abuse that so many have suffered, and in doing so she illustrates, with gut-wrenching clarity, the state of a world that simply doesn't care, or worse, that celebrates and gloats over the disgusting lack of humanity. Simply put, she captured the heart of our movement, and she captured the people in it in the way that I know them, which is so drastically different than the outrageous and false caricatures painted by feminists and the media so typically kowtowing to what they want. I wept during this film. At times it was hard to tell if it was the intensity of pain she captured or just some long overdue vindication for me and the people I know who fight this fight against all odds. As someone who understands the consequences for shining a light in this way on these problems, I can tell you that Ms. J has earned my respect and admiration. But she took things even a step further than that. A significant part of this documentary was Cassie J's personal diary. She shot herself in the privacy of her own thoughts as she went through the 3.5 years of her life that this project consumed. Remember that she, a young feminist, stumbled into this rabbit hole because she first thought about doing a documentary on rape culture. In searching Google on that topic, she came across some of my most offensive satire. And as she reveals in the film, she thought she had arrived. She had found the purveyors of misogyny and rape apology so lamented in feminist culture. She intended to quickly document us and move on. Case closed. At least this is what I gather from what I've seen. Unfortunately for Cassie J., she's intelligent, inquisitive, and embraces a form of compassion that isn't one-dimensional. As she listened to what MRAs had to say, she was forced to consider that against her own belief system. That struggle, at least for me, makes some of the most compelling footage of the film. That is particularly true at the end, which I will not tell you about. You will simply have to see it for yourself. Finally, I want to offer another opinion of sorts about this movie. As most of you know, it was funded mostly by free speech advocates, not MRAs. In fact, I recall clearly in the early days of her crowdfunding effort, it was stagnant. MRAs understandably had no reason to trust her. Feminists wanted to starve her out. It appeared to be going nowhere until Milo Yiannopoulos took an interest in helping and wrote about it on Breitbart. I remain grateful for what he did and for all the donors who quickly took her over the top and even allowed her the opportunity to qualify the film for Academy Award consideration. From what I know of the whole affair, Cassie J's only other option was to capitulate to feminist demands for creative control. They wanted to use her to create a hit piece on the men's movement. To her credit, she was willing to shelve years of work and let it gather dust before she caved in. She wanted to make her movie her way. And her way, as it turned out, was to make a movie about the real and genuine lives of millions of men whose problems go ignored at best, mocked, ridiculed, and intentionally inflicted at worst. Her way was to tell the untold, unpopular truth because it was the right thing to do. I'm convinced that very fact determined what this movie would be. If you consider yourself an MRA, if you visit places like A Voice for Men, An Ear for Men, the Honey Badger Brigade, Gynocentrism.com, or other venues that focus on compassion for men and boys, then the movie was made for you. It'll benefit anyone who watches it. In fact, I can't imagine the level of moral depravity and callousness to humanity it would take to see this film and not be affected by it. But at its heart, it is the very message we have been shouting into the wilderness for so long now. That men matter. That you matter. The Red Pill drives that point home like you've never seen before. And that concludes my review of this film. Next video, though, I will be doing an analysis of the Q&A that followed the film in New York, where Michael Kimmel attended and took part. That's a story all to itself. Also, for those of you in the Los Angeles area who will be seeing the Red Pill movie on the 14th, there will be a gathering before the movie in North Hollywood that is being arranged by the National Coalition for Men. There's a link to that in the low bar for details for those who want to attend. Till then, as always, I hope you've enjoyed, even if you haven't, and see you next time.